my name is Ashlyn Hayworth. I'm presenting on behalf of Debate Group 11, and the topic we chose to go over was abortion. So let's get into it. The first thing we're going to look at is the pros of legalizing abortion. So the first one is that it is a safe medical procedure. It's particularly safe when it's done within the first trimester, which is the first 9 weeks of pregnancy. There's minimal risks of serious complications, and moreover, it doesn't really have an influence on the woman's health or her ability to get pregnant later on. Obviously, as with any medical procedure that you go into, there are risks and chances of complications. However, you're looking at that no matter what kind of surgery or medical procedure you're having done. Now we're going to look at gender equality. So the right to abortion is vital for gender equality. If women are not allowed to have an abortion, they are not only forced to continue a pregnancy to birth, but they're also expected by a society to raise that child through to adulthood. So gender equality has been a continuous and ongoing battle for a long time now. And many of the lawmakers who are in office right now are men, and they can't understand what it's like to get pregnant, carry a child, face the complications that may arise. And at this point, it seems that men are having more control over a woman's body than a woman has over her own. Now we're going to look at finances. So by having a reproductive choice, this is protecting women from financial disadvantage. 42% of women who are currently having abortions are below the federal poverty level. So that means that almost half of the women seeking out abortions are only doing so because they can't currently care for themselves, and they really wouldn't be able to care for and support a child and give them the life that they deserve. So that's why finances play a big role in abortions. Now we're going to look at sexual assault. So many women who seek abortions are victims of rape. I personally believe that it is cruel to force a girl to endure an unplanned and unconsented pregnancy. This girl has had no say in any of what has occurred up until now. Giving them a say in whether or not they want to carry a child and care for that child would be a big deal, and allow them to not have to face some of the turmoil that they may face. And that's also not taking into consideration that many of the people who are raped are too young, or they're minors, and their bodies aren't developed to carry a child yet. And now we're going to look at teen pregnancy. Teenage girls who have become mothers have grim prospects for the future. In most cases, they're not receiving adequate prenatal care, and that's going to cause other health problems to develop. For them, abortion early on would be the best option, and this also follows into them not having finances to care for themselves. And I didn't mention this on the finance slide, but raising a child right now costs a minimum. The bare minimum will be $233,610. So annually, that would average out to about $14,000. So it's expensive to raise a child. Now we're going to look at the cons of legalizing abortion. So number one, there are late-term risks. If you're not performing the abortion within the first trimester, those first 9 weeks, the risks go up the further along that the pregnancy gets. So complications, look at like heavy blood loss, infection, and pain. And then the later you go, you're looking at even more critical conditions such as sepsis and death. And long-term effects of this can be things like cervical complications and abnormal placenta development. It would not be good to legalize abortion late term. Now we're going to look at the psychological effects of legalizing abortion, or just that abortions have in general. And so a study done at the Bowling Green State University in Ohio suggested that abortion increases a woman's chance of developing psychological problems. So these are things such as guilt, depression, shame, anxiety. And I just know personally from a family member who had an abortion at the age of 17. She has carried along with her through her decades of life this guilt and shame, and anytime she can, she encourages people to choose life. Number 3 is that abortion is reducing adoption. So the number of adoptable babies would decrease if we legalize abortion. Instead of having the option to abort, women should carry their pregnancy on through to birth and have those child be adopted by a family who can't conceive on their own, who are looking to have a family but just can't make that happen by themselves. We should eliminate abortion and promote adoption. Now we're going to look at contraception. There are many options available to prevent pregnancy from occurring in the first place. Therefore, abortion should not be available as contraception. There's things like birth control pills, condoms, IUDs. All of these things are available before you do the action it takes to get pregnant. If you can't accept the consequences that may occur from the action, you shouldn't be doing it in the first place. And argument number 5, the biggest argument, is that ultimately abortion is murder. From the time of conception, life has begun. Therefore, babies are humans who have a right and deserve to live. And there's also been research to show that these tiny humans experience and feel the pain of abortion. Just imagine what it must be like to have your life ripped away from you before you even have a chance to fight for yourself. And so where we gathered and how we made our conclusion was from principles from Martin Luther King Jr.'s letter from Birmingham jail. And so the first quote that we chose was, "We know through painful experience that freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed. However, in this situation, in this case, the oppressed do not have a chance to speak for themselves. They cannot fight for themselves. They cannot convey that they deserve a chance at life. It is up to us who can speak for them to fight for them in their chance at life." The next one that we're going to look at is going over laws that are just versus unjust. And so this states there are 2 types of laws, just and unjust. I would be the first to advocate obeying just laws. One has not only a legal, but a moral responsibility to obey just laws. Conversely, one has a moral obligation to disobey unjust laws. I would agree with St. Augustine that an unjust law is not a law at all. And think about how unjust and unfair it is to rip away a human's life before they even get a chance to live it. I believe that in legalizing abortion, we are legalizing an unjust law because we are taking away a human's right at life. So if you haven't gathered by now, our group's decision after we gathered the evidence and we studied it and we reviewed it, we chose that we are not supporters of abortion. We are pro-life. We believe in equal rights for the unborn. We want to speak life, proclaim life, and just give every human being the best chance at survival that they have. And these are the sources that we used. This CBS one is where we got the statistics of how much it costs to raise a child. And then these other ones are all from organizational websites that talk about the pros and the cons of abortion. Thank you very much for your time and for listening.